Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous Podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Bricky. You know why you're here. Let's get into it. But first, if you like the podcast and you want to support the podcast, maybe consider heading over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in crispy digital form. Also, shy sort of little one-offs. I think I saw that the newest episode was the rampant different types of drug use in 40K, which piques my interest, because God knows 40K's got some crazy stuff there. But patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. Bricky, where's it? How's it going?
Hello, it is me, Bricky. I am no longer in my home. I am traveling once again, but this time, probably the last major bit of travel for the whole year outside of heading to San Diego for TwitchCon. But I'm currently in Detroit. I am the Warhammer podcast gentlemen have told me that they're going to make their way out here and buy me something known as a coney, which I'm assuming is a hot dog, and then we're going to play Magic, and that to me sounds like the best time ever.
We're gonna buy a coney in Detroit?
I guess a coney is coney a Midwest thing?
I thought, well, so when I thought coney, I was like, oh yeah, hot dog. But I was like, wait, isn't Coney Island in like New York area?
They told me I needed to get a coney.
Maybe it's like an ice cream cone?
The logistics surrounding the coney, I care not about. They told me they wanted to get me a coney. I'm gonna go with them to get the coney.
All right, cool. Report back to us next week and let us know how the coney from Detroit goes.
Yeah, if I shit out my whole ass, then at least you know that I did it properly. But
next week, Bray's like, guys, I lost 20 pounds. It's amazing.
So skinny.
Damn.
But I am currently in a different setting or area right now. So apologies if my microphone is very different, but we shall continue in the usual. Go ahead and of course do your usual. Check out the great merchandise down at Orchid8 in the description, and also we get reading on Flesh and Steel from the Warhammer Minecraft movie.
Yeah. It's really good, actually. It's a good book.
Yeah, I'm about a couple hours in so far. It is so far very good. But that will be the book club next week because Lucius was only book version and we made that mistake. So Flesh and Steel.
Yeah, let's go.
Anyway, DK. Okay, this is a bit of a stretch, but for 1995 people like myself, this might be something that might work out. Okay, so did you play Modern Warfare 2?
I have not played a military shooter, period.
Okay. Then this entire tangent goes nowhere. There's a particular mission in the game that I was going to reference and try to like bring out because I mean even people who don't like modern military shooters normally played a COD back in like the late 2000s. But anyway, we'll have to do a different mystery quote for the time being if you're ready for it.
I'm always ready to get a quote wrong. Let's go.
Hell yeah! All right. Do not be like the humans, my lord. Learn from the past. You will need allies if you are to prevail. Maximize the effectiveness of your alliances and turn them entirely to your advantage. Prove yourself worthy in this, and the Silent King may speak to you as well in time.
So this is some Necron stuff.
It is definitely a Necron speaking. At least I'm making the assumption.
Yeah,
but it's not quite about the Necrons. No.
Because it was like Silent King. It was like, oh, don't make the same mistake the humans did, and it's like, okay, so this is probably like a Xenos thing. It's not Necrons.
Maximize the effectiveness of your alliances and turn them entirely to your advantage.
This almost sounds a little Voton-ish coded too. But we literally just did a Voton thing.
We actually have more Voton we're going to have to do eventually because the new book is out. But Eventually we'll get there. No. See, this is tough because one of the best missions in Modern Warfare 2 that has a phenomenal soundtrack is called "The Enemy of My Enemy." And I was going to try to pull some references there because that quote in its own right is a pretty important one in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm flying on empty here, so I'm just gonna
That's fine. Then you want to just give up?
We'll just say it's some kind of Farsight Enclave episode. I don't know. I want Tau. I want Farsight. I want the 8. I'm just gonna throw that out there to manifest it for the future.
No, we are talking about something a lot more generalist, a little more broad. We are talking about Imperial and Xenos alliances. The enemy of my enemy, that kind of thing.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting such a broad topic. I was expecting it to be a little more like it's this character, it's this faction. But yeah, no, okay. That's a fitting quote then for okay. All right.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, in the recent Dante episode, we went over how the Blood Angels got the very surprising bit of aid by the Khorne demons when they fought the Tyranids. Very much in this scenario, it was like hey, they don't get to kill you, only I get to kill you kind of moment. But it's far from the first time that the Imperium has ever been helped by weird places. So, what we're going to talk about today, and something we actually been wanting to talk about for a bit, is humanity's alliances, allying with the things they hate the most, normally due to necessity. But there is more than often a enemy of my enemy type situation because there are so many threats in the galaxy.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be an Aeldari heavy episode because that seems, whenever I hear about like, oh, I guess we have to ally ourselves with them because it's, I was going to say for the greater good. It's like, wow, I'm really pushing this Tau thing. But it seems like it's always like, oh yeah, I guess we'll work with the Aeldari. And the Aeldari are always like, oh, I guess we'll work with the human because chaos is really screwing things up, or like the orcs or the nids or something. So that's kind of what I always think of when I think of like, oh, I guess we have to work together and do an alliance for now.
It's often that. In fact, some back when I was like a young lad, back in 7th edition Warhammer, which feels like it was a lot like it sounds sooner than it actually is because I was like 17. That's like over a decade old. When I was playing 7th
3 editions is a decade ago.
I thought it. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember there was a little list, and I'm sure Shai can maybe scrounge this up unless Possum can. Where you were able to basically May 2014 was when 7th edition launched, Shai?
Oh no.
Oh wow. Okay, so I started it like right in the beginning then. Interesting. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking now, like
he's doing the math.
I guess that's why they got the book then. That's why my Dairy Queen people that I worked with got the book at that time because it just came out. This makes so much sense now. Anyway, yes. So back when there was a little chart that you could have, which was your alliances on the tabletop. Now, 7th edition was a lot more heavily narrative focused, and which made playing the game absolutely awful because the rules in 7th were terrible. But it had some very cool fluff and flavor to it. And one of them was that if you could bring in any other faction with your faction, but they had like levels of work together. Where if you were like humans and Eldar, for example, there was certain things like, oh, you can work together amicably without like major issues. But if you were like humans and chaos demons, there was a whole like you cannot have these units even within 6 inches of each other, or something along those lines.
Or they kill each other.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of neat. Like Necrons were that way, Nids were, because I think that was back when Necrons didn't have the new lore yet, and so they were just like unthinking robots. And then like Nids, same deal. So it was pretty neat.
That's actually, that's really cool. But it's also like, that seems like G-Dub because it's like, hey, don't just buy your human army. They can work together with the Eldar. Buy the Eldar models too. And it's like, and it's just a cool narrative thing to do.
The Allies Matrix.
Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
all the ones in green are battle brothers, and that's normally like Eldar with Eldar, humans with humans. Then you
Hmm.
have allies of convenience, which are often like Eldar and humanity, or Tau and Eldar, and then you have
Sure.
desperate allies, and then you have come the apocalypse, which is
Come
just
the
like
apocalypse. Yeah.
yeah.
Unless it is absolutely dire. They're not working together, right? That's fair.
Notice how notice how in come the apocalypse, it's Tyranids are nothing but
Everywhere.
everywhere but themselves. I'm actually a little shocked that the Necrons have as much as they do. I didn't realize the Necrons have allies and convenience with
Oh,
Tau.
yeah.
I could have sworn that maybe the new lore had already come out. I'm not quite sure. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
They are
Chaos and
allies of.
Necron.
Yeah, that's so
Like,
strange that the Necrons would be allies of convenience with Chaos and Tau.
I mean, 40K lore is an ever changing thing because it goes against the humanity's awful like stagnation type deal. It's part of the point.
Hmm.
But I think maybe just the Necrons have changed a lot since then because this has been over a decade ago. So
Fair. Yeah.
anyway, so a disclaimer on what an Imperial alliance is. Um, Now, military alliances between the Imperium and Xenos are generally forged out of necessity and not out of consistency. Rogue traders get a pass. We know that, obviously. And then some Inquisitors kind of do, too. But that's about the end. Also, holy crap, you're so right, Shy. Tyranids and Genestealer cults are allies of convenience and not full allies.
Oh my god, that's great.
That's so funny. Wait, I don't think... Genestealer cults aren't on this list. I'm pretty sure they didn't arrive yet, right? Yeah, this is a later list, I believe, when they finally came out.
That's so funny and so accurate too. For lore, that's accurate.
Allies of convenience? No, they're battle brothers now.
Yeah, totally, totally. Forever and always.
Forever and always.
Besties holding hands through the tulips for sure. Drop.
But of course, most military alliances that the Imperium has with Xenos tend to end in like horrors beyond your comprehension. Example here. A great example of this is the Imperial Navy High Admiral Vortigern Henroth. So this guy, the High Admiral, was tasked with the defense of the Eastern Fringe. And though it's not really a fully settled part of the galaxy compared to most others, holding it is very necessary due to the massive presence of things like the Tau Empire and the Sautek dynasty. Now, the Eastern Fringe was faced with a ton of problems, like High Fleet Jormungandr started showing off. Well, it showed off, but it showed up as well.
Yeah.
And Henroth didn't have enough defensive muster, and he needed help. So he mustered a huge fleet of Navy and Xenos ships with 4 different Xenos species, particularly the Vassalians and the Donarathi, who were at the time at war with one another. The Demiurge, which are actually a version of the Voton kin that sided with the Tau.
Yeah, the squats. That's where the
them?
squats went. Yeah.
And then the Simieric. Despite the size of the Armada, the battle against the High Fleet was devastating, and a win was barely squeezed because Pyrrhic Imperial victory by the big Xenos Armada. And though the victory would not have been possible without the help of the Xenos, the High Admiral did not let the Alliance sway him from a sense of duty. And in 5 short years after the defeat of High Fleet Jormungandr, the High Admiral led his forces and completely obliterated the Cimmeriac homeworld.
Yeah, that sounds... I'm surprised it took 5 years. I'm surprised that wasn't just like, oh yeah, next week, kill the Xenos. I'm shocked it took as long as it did.
I mean, it was 5 years later, he basically committed genocide, which is like totally normal for the Imperium, but it's particularly humorous against these people because it's like, oh, thanks so much for helping us stop High Fleet Jormungandr. Your entire race now shall be wiped out.
Yeah. What's more Imperium coded than that, though? Like, nothing.
Parchment paper with marching orders.
The actual orders that, yeah. Okay.
Now, the first one that would be kind of fun to start with should be the Necrons, because they're the best faction in Warhammer. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's one of the more extreme examples because it includes one of the more understated meetings of the minds. Dante and the Dark Angels were entrenched in a big battle on the hive world of Gehenna near the tail end of M41. And the combatants they faced were the Necrons. Now, under normal circumstances, this would likely have been a fair W for Necrons due to their unrelenting military tact, but Dante is kind of him and puts shit into a stalemate because he's Dante.
Course.
Now, it lasted for several weeks, with either side not being able to overwhelm the other, until eventually one day the Necrons just kind of stopped firing. They turned their backs on the Blood Angels and they marched away. Even as the Blood Angels started firing at them and knocked them down, they did not turn around. But the shooting stopped because the reality started to set in that, like, why would they, give up if they were dedicated stalemates? Now, the Blood Angels found the answer, which was that long-range sensors picked up the approachment of a large Tyranid fleet barely within range, and somehow the Necrons picked this up way sooner. And in the of course they did. And in the middle of them debating as to how they could have seen such a large fleet, they received a direct signal from the Necrons. Here is the quote here. The Avatar regarded him with its blazing white eyes. I am the Judicator Prime. I am charged with securing your cooperation. You will not resist, Dante of the Blood Angels. Reaching out of the table controls, Gaius warily mashed the keypad with his palm, hoping to sever the connection. It did not have any effect. Commander Dante looked back at the Judicator. Cooperation in what, Xenos? Until mere hours ago, our forces were locked in mortal combat. Now you are fled to the empty plains, awaiting our inevitable vengeance. There is no matter in which we or you will ever cooperate. All caps. You are incorrect. Our success has already been calculated. The conflict between us was an error.
Wow, that's so Necron. That is like the most Necron-coded conversation I've ever heard.
The conflict between us was an error. Granted, that also sounds pretty Admech-y, but they both work.
Just love the all caps. You are incorrect.
The Judicator revealed a fact that shocked everyone, which was that Zarek the Silent King himself was on Gehenna and wanted to meet with Dante and his advisors to discuss a counteroffensive against the Tyranids. It's a dual narrative in the story. The Necrons lay it out pretty cut and dry. Tyranids are anathema to all life. Without life, the Necrons have nothing to rule over. So
the Silent King is on Gehenna?
Yeah,
he's just chilling. He's just
came back and he was there.
Oh, all right, cool.
I think this was slightly before a lot of the new Silent King lore. So how much of it was 100%? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just wild to me that the Silent King is just chilling, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's down there. It's like, oh really? He didn't decide to step in and mess with Dante before this. He's just chilling, watching everything go down, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the quote literally is: "The humans create, the Necrons maintain, the Tyranids consume. There can be no lasting symmetry. One must fall."
Yeah.
So kill the Tyranids.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, despite some obvious concerns about the interaction, Dante accepted the offer. The narrator of the story is Lord Onrakir the Traveler, Mr. Onrakir himself. Rest in peace, his miniature. I'm very pissed about that. And Erasmus Tycho. Tycho's a funny one. He's I don't know if he's got legend, but he may not have been legend. He's this really shitty old model, but he has two models. He has Tycho the something and then Tycho the Lost, because I think he succumbs to the Black Rage.
Ooh.
And so there's the Black Rage version of him and the regular version of him. It's kind of wild. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
It's kind of cool that he has a Black Rage version, though. That's kind of a nice little feature to add for like a Blood Angel.
It's kind of sick. But anyway, they encounter the Judicator, and they're brought face to face with the Silent King. However, the face of the Silent King was not what they expected. Now remember, this is before that you knew what the Silent King looked like.
Hmm.
Brothers, I could scarcely put into words what I felt in that moment, what all three of us must have felt. It was not reverence or awe, I can tell you that much. It was closer to hatred, framed by a cowl of shimmering light and the traceries of his intricate collar. Zarek, heralded as the last and greatest of the Silent Kings, an undisputed overlord of the Necron race, wore a golden mask fashioned into the likeness of our Lord Sanguinius.
Oh. Oh man, that's how he chose to meet Dante?
Yeah,
And
I think that it was because he was maybe thought that would be like a way to soothe them and like have them more interested in cooperation, but I think he maybe misread the room.
Yeah, you could be right. He's like, "Oh no, look, they don't want to see just a Necron. If they see Papa, they'll be." You're probably right. And he just
Yeah,
oh man, what a miscalculation.
I remember people were upset when the Silent King did get revealed and there was no mention to that. But honestly, I think that's more of like a of the time thing and it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But I mean, also because the Silent King looks like such a baller. So, you know, whatever.
Just, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny. And let's just say Dante was not happy.
No way. I know Blood Angel would be, right?
Yeah,
Ooh.
so the Judicator basically said the Silent King will not speak, but his action of wearing a benevolent and beautiful mask of Sanguinius was to honor him, and that this meeting was to, quote unquote, honor an accord he wanted to strike with Sanguinius in ages past.
Oh. So the Silent King has been looking to partner up with the Imperium, specifically Sanguinius, for a long time.
Well, the Silent King is 60 million years old, so I'm sure he's been around. He also has been awake the whole time. So,
yeah. He's definitely been around long enough for it, but I don't know why. It just strikes me as weird that, like, big Necron Silent King would want to work with humans in any fashion, even if it is, like, best boy, right?
I mean, he could also be talking total shit out of his ass. Like,
True.
He could be 100% just lying.
True.
It's also, it is funny. Shai makes a good point. It is good that he basically found the most reasonable Space Marine alive.
Yeah.
Good old Dante, Boy Scout Dante. Thank God. But regardless, of course, the Necron's actions on the planet, So Dante denied this. The Judicators say that the Silent King cannot lie, which I think is total horseshit. But, you know, I'm sure it's for the purposes of the book. I think it's not even that Zarek can't lie. I think it's just that Zarek like doesn't need to because he's the man.
It's true. He's the big boy. What does he need to lie for? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is some kind of coding where he can't lie, but then the betrayal against the Catan doesn't make a lot of sense. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Maybe there's something where he says he can't lie, but regardless, it's not important. What's important is that the Necron's actions were to defend the planet from the Great Devourer, and therefore they kind of got into conflict with the Blood Angels due to that. And they kind of lean into it and say that it was Dante's fault for fighting them in the first place, but there's no way they would have known about it. So basically, the Blood Angels unfortunately took out a decent chunk of the Necron's forces, and the damage they did to the Necrons meant that their ability to defend the planet and the Tyranids were very diminished. So, the Judicators said that the Silent King wanted to save this planet for the Imperium, because you need to rule over something. And I don't know if this is adjusted the lore, depending on whether they go back to the flesh and blood type thing with the Tyranids. I'm not quite sure where we are at this timeline. But regardless, Dante basically asked, like, why the hell do the Necrons care? And the Judicators said, hey, we're concerned about the survival of the human race because one day these differences might be reconciled. Which I also think is total crap, but we'll see.
Yeah, coming from a Necron, it's like, I don't know, man. That doesn't sound like something you'd say. And like, I feel like when a Necron says, oh yeah, one day our differences will be settled, he means one day we'll kill all of you. Difference settled.
Or one day you will be underneath our boot heel.
Yeah, something like that, definitely. Not like a peaceful coexistence. Yay! No.
There's also a very important moment where they agreed to this defense. The Silent King rose up from his throne, walked up to Dante, grasped his wrist in a remarkably imperial manner, which I'm assuming is just like their version of the handshake or the Space Marine handshake, where you both grab each other's forearms.
Yep,
before
the warrior handshake.
Before leaning in and whispering something into Dante's ear, to which Dante nodded. What he whispered was, "They are the rising storm, and you must become the shield."
And it makes sense the Necrons would be very anti-Tyranid, because, that's what started the wake-up process, especially the Silent Kings. Probably very like, yeah, you know what? Tyranids are showing up. I'll work with anybody. We just got to kill us some Nids.
Eventually, after the alliance was forged and they did all the fighting, they basically, of course, used their the fighting against all the Tyranids, and then eventually, after they deal with the Tyranids, they're going to murder the Silent King. So all that kind of stuff. Now, the combined force of the Necrons and the Blood Angels were able to wipe out the Tyranids with relative ease, but as the battle drew to a close, Dante and the others realized that the Necrons had straight up vanished. The alliance was needed. The Necrons were suspicious of the humans, obviously, and they bailed the moment it was clear to do so, and Gehenna was saved for the Imperium.
Okay, sure. Smart move by the Necrons, though. Like, both sides probably saw the writing on the wall, so smart move by the Necrons.
So, I mean, that's one of the more weird Necron ones. I know there are very few, if any, like, alliances with the Necrons, because most Necrons just want to eradicate human life. And then the only ones that you can negotiate with are often the nobles. But then the nobles are people like Trazyn, Imatech, like they've
Good
got,
luck.
Like, I mean, you can negotiate with them, but it probably won't work. I mean, even if you negotiate with Trazyn, he's still going to probably kill you. He's just going to have some fun while he does it, or put you in his vault.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're either getting killed or you're getting frozen forever and all time, and he can just stare at you in his little zoo. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
The next one we got is the Eldar. Now the Eldar is a bit of a weird one. Now, their history with the Imperium is one of the more long-standing ones, and that relationship is very convoluted. The Eldar, of course, find themselves to be superior to humanity in every single way, and the disdain is apparent in any quote of the Eldar talking down to humans.
Yeah, but considering they always call them Monkey, right? I mean,
they just always are hoity-toity about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, so are the Imperium, so like whatever. But the Eldar are obviously far more pragmatic than most species in the galaxy. In fact, out of all the species in the galaxy, I would argue that the Eldar are maybe top 3 of like the most understandable actions, like not completely backwards. At least the craft worlders, that is.
Yeah, the Drakari are.
I mean, you would have to be, because if your entire race was the most powerful in the galaxy and was eradicated by the own actions of your species, they're a little bit, they're extremely Puritan and stuff because they're scared of falling down the hole. But Yeah. I mean, the biggest example of working with the Eldar is the most obvious one. It's Bobby G coming back. That one is really like.
To the meme.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the meme.
I'm not going to say the meme.
I mean, now that I know the meme is less funny to me. The Yvrain Gilliman memes are a lot less funny now that I know that it was like them.
One line.
One line, yeah. I'm like, okay.
It's nothing else.
It's like, one line of like, all right, well, I hope we don't kill each other again.
Canonically, they have a child together, though, so yeah.
I hate you. So, now obviously post-revival, that shows a good example of their allyship, or post-revival, a very good example of their allyship was when Mortarion decided it was time to use the Hand of Darkness to unleash a horrible amount of plagues on Ultramar. Now, Gilliman and good old Tigerius, Tigerius is the fancy librarian for, they sought out Eldrad Ulthron regarding that manner. Eldrad is kind of the boy when it comes to the Eldar like seers. He's one of their most powerful psychers.
Yeah. The name sounds very familiar, so.
Yeah, Eldrad's kind of the guy. He's pretty cool. Now, for those who may not recall, the homeworld of the Death Guard is the plague planet known as Munificence. But prior to the Death Guard's claiming of the planet, it was known as Elithida. Elithida was a really beautiful planet that was under Eldar control, but the fall scoured, the Eldar fall, scoured life on it, and it was pulled into the Eye of Terror. Now, the planet is shaped to look like Barbarous, because of course, and it's home to the Whispering Tower, where the Hand of Darkness is kept, and the only way to reach it is through the Garden of Nurgle, which is very hard.
Have we talked about what the Hand of Darkness specifically is? Obviously, it is a not happy fun tool for like humanity, but have we talked about it? Because I'm not immediately recalling what exactly it is and what exactly it does, other than maybe just spreading the gift of Nurgle.
It's basically like old school, very, very, very powerful Xenos weapon. The Heart of Darkness was used by Abaddon for a bit. It was used by Mortarion. He used it to take control of the Blackstone Fortress. So it's like crazy powerful MacGuffin for the most part.
Okay, cool.
So anyway, and he of course used it to release a bunch of plagues on Ultramar. That's that whole point. It's not important. Basically, very bad weapon, very scary.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, reaching the planet and the tower was not an option for Guilliman and the Ultramarines, so he needed a bit of a mystical form of help. So after speaking with Eldrad, he responded by sending Yvraine to go retrieve the artifact. And after passing through the average trials of temptation at the Black Library, Yvraine was able to pass through the garden with her allies and was able to sneak into the tower to claim the hand before escaping. And the hand was then delivered to Eldrad, and the Eldrad then used a trusted Harlequin messengers to bring it to Guilliman himself. So that was like a classic, a little bit of help there from Yvraine and Eldrad and the folks.
And it's good that they got the Hand of Darkness away from Chaos, because, that's not great.
Yes, very true. There's another more military-focused example, which took place in the Valdor system with High Fleet Leviathan. In this one, it was being guarded by a very aggressive and exceptionally xenophobic, exceptionally xenophobic when talking about Imperium, hilarious. The Crimson Castellans. But they can only do so much between the 5 worlds in the system, and so one by one they fall to the Tyranids, and what remains is this world of Ektor, which serves as their recruiting world. However, the population on this planet is not only getting assistance from the Space Marines. Since it's become known that Doom was coming for the sector, an organization appeared in the Hive City that was handing out supplies and little placards. And these placards had a phrase that said, "The hand protects." It says, "The hand shows us the way to weather the storm that approaches."
Oh, no. Oh,
Virgil!
Yes.
We have no creed, no message of disobedience. We desire only safety, and safety the hand may provide. Now, of course, this sounds like massive heresy, obviously.
Yep.
And one of the Crimson Castellan Battle Brothers encounters a law enforcement officer on the Hive World about it, and the lawman states they're not concerned about them at all. The lawman believes that it is the doing of some guilt-riddled spire lord or something, and the hand's actions benefiting the sick and the orphaned is of exceptional help. The Space Marine is not satisfied with this one bit, and he becomes a bit obsessed finding out what the hand is. And, he is there to figure out what to do about the impending invasion, but he's now assuming that the hand is something to do with the Tyranids as well. So Yoth returns to his brothers to prepare for the attack because the Tyranid time is arriving. And eventually, the Tyranids do arrive, and they are blindsided by a lictor, which proves to be fairly easy thanks to the assistance of a member of the Hand. This member's name is Isarion the Dispossessed, which is an Eldar. The Hand itself is short for the Hand of Azerman, the Phoenix Lord of the Dire Avengers.
Got you. So they're lending a helping hand. Good for them.
I fully thought it would be a GSC type thing, but I was wrong.
Yeah, for a second I did too, because it just seemed very like, Nids are showing up. Weird hand thing.
Hand of the Emperor type thing.
Yep. Many-handed Emperor. I kind of thought that's the direction it was going to.
Now, of course, the Space Marine here responds in an extremely hostile manner. But things aren't getting any better. And so they had to face the facts. They needed help, and they could not save the planet for the humans alone. So they accepted the help of the Hand and the Eldar as a whole. Humorously enough, during the heat of combat, this Space Marine Yoth and the Eldar Asarian fought side by side. The Eldar held out his hand to be pulled up, but the Space Marine instincts kicked in, and he pointed his gun directly at him, but he couldn't pull the trigger. And so there was a little they had a little type of thing where the Space Marine stared down and was like, God, I fucking hate this thing so goddamn much. But also you saved my life twice. So, I
guess I have to.
Yeah, and the Eldar was like, shit. Maybe there's a little bit of honor left in you humans.
Yeah. I'm sure that lasted, right? All that honor for I'm sure it lasted after the Tyranids were gone, right? Totally.
Oh, totally. Or at minimum, he just leaves. This kind of feels like a buddy cop. Where I don't know about how much this book goes into depth and how good this book is, if it's worth a read, but it immediately sounds like the racist cop that has like his new partner is like, I don't know, like a black man or Asian man or some kind of ethnicity that they're racist towards. And it's just like they learn to like kind of begrudgingly enjoy each other's company. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's probably very similar. Sure.
I don't know why I'm going to Detroit Become Human with Clancy Brown and Connor, the android.
Yes, because they do kind of have to learn to like each other, and depending on the choices you pick, you can kind of become friends. And my playthrough, they never became friends. They just hated each other the whole way through.
That's so depressing because that's easily the best part of that entire game is making them friends, because the rest of the game hits you over the head with the racial signal.
Yeah.
Like when I opened that game and I was like, it's a David Cage game. I'm like, okay. And then within 30 minutes, my android was on the back of the bus. I was like, holy shit, David Cage.
But guys, it's not political. The game, it's not. Come on. There's no message, guys. It's just a game. It's just a game.
I don't think you said that. I'm pretty sure he was honest about that part. It was just the fact that I was hit over the head with a sledgehammer about it. 30 minutes, David Cage. You couldn't have done the back of the bus at least an hour.
Hour in or something? Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Good Lord. Anyway, next up, we speaking of segregation, we have the Tau.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of
nice segue
of a caste system.
Yeah.
So obviously, allying with the Xenos is often considered to be a no-win suicidal scenario. And we all know there's one colonel who has made his life work to win these impossible scenarios, which is Colonel Schaefer of the Last Chancers, the coolest goddamn dude of all time.
Yeah, the Last Chancers is such a cool name too.
I mean, it's just, I love the picture of that dude with like the giant cigar. So in many of his missions, Schaefer's task is to assassinate, in one of his many missions, my apologies. His task is to assassinate a very prominent Tau commander named Brightsword, who has gone renegade. To do this, the Last Chancers have to work with some members of the Tau, and this is proved to be pretty agreeable to both sides, because it's a renegade Tau commander. Certain members of the Water Caste believe that the Brightsword's ideology put the Tau Empire and the Imperium at risk of a full-scale war, but they also did not want to act on their own, as this would be its own political chaos internally if the Water Caste members had killed the Brightsword themselves. So they basically were like, hey, the Last Chancers are going to pose as Imperial diplomats and are brought into Brightsword's cadre, courtesy of their close-knit working with those who wanted him dead. And they were able to complete the mission and get him killed. But with most Last Chancer missions, virtually everyone died except for a couple, and Schaefer had to rebuild from scratch.
Yeah, as you do.
Now, the Imperium works with Tau a few other times as well. At the end of M41, they were attacking the world of Quadravidia when a Sir Caiaphas Kane arrived as reinforcements.
I was going to say, we read a book about that, right?
We did kind of read a little bit about that. And that was, of course, eventually the Tyranids decided to show up in this situation. And so they fought the Tyranids as a common enemy there, unrelated to the book we read.
Yeah.
A more controversial example, All Hollow, the homeworld of the Angels of Absolution. Can you guess which Space Marine chapter that is? The Angels of Absolution.
The Angels of Absolution? That kind of sounds Dark Angel-y to me. Because, they're...
Very
right?
proud of you, DK. They are Dark Angels.
Thank you. There was that pause. I was like, wait, it's not?
No,
I was like, is it Blood Angels?
No, it's Absolution, But they were impacted by a pretty nasty Tzeentchian plague that was impacting the Promethean mining world of Tau sympathizers. So the nature of the problem is something that substantially impacted both the Tau and the optics surrounding the Angels of Absolution. So the Dark Angels intervene and meet with the Tau in secret because they have reason to believe that the plague was started by a member of the Fallen. So they strike a deal. The Dark Angels will wipe out the psychically impacted Tau sympathizers on the mining world, and the Tau will take care of the Angels of Absolution and their homeworld. So the Dark Angels successfully wipe out the Promethean world's inhabitants, and the Tau deploy Shasso Kais, the command suit-clad Tau hero from the Dawn of War Dark Crusade game, who has a very similar name to the protagonist of Fire Warrior, who can pull what is described as a Doom Guy maneuver and took out quite a few Angels of Absolution before vanishing. The plague was stopped, and the alliance between the Dark Angels and the Tau remains a relative secret.
I imagine the Dark Angel would also want to keep that pretty close to their chest. That they were allying with Xenos. It's like, us? No, never. Keep it a secret. We'll find you.
And then, of course, we have the Orks.
I guess that's true. There probably have been a couple of unions with the Orks, haven't there?
One of the most unlikely of alliances on the list, the Imperium and the Orks. This incident took place on the planet of Cavern Tertius, where the Guard, led by Lord General Militant Nestor Pyrrhus of the Golden Eighth, could you have a longer title? You can. Let me introduce you to my boy Cetra.
Cetra. 3 hours later.
They found themselves in a decade-long trench conflict with the Orks that had ground to, you guessed it, a stalemate. And stop me if you've heard this one before, the conflict between the two factions were thrown into disarray when a confirmation of the Tyranids were inbound to Cavern Tertius.
See, what we're missing in this, the Tyranid are really a uniting force. So the Tyranid are really the true good guys in the universe. They just bring everybody together.
So true, bestie. As this was a risk to the planet, General Pyrrhus requested a ceasefire meeting with the war boss named Colonel Tacticus, with K's, of course. The enemy of my enemy conversation occurred, and the war boss agreed on a ceasefire was for the better. This was met with skepticism, of course, including by a man in the name of Colonel Phocus, Phocus. But time was short, they needed to act fast. So the first act of the treaty was the deployment of the Orks to assist the evacuation of the Imperial civilians. And this was complete. The bugs arrived, and despite anything you could have possibly imagined, the Orks and the humans actually worked perfectly well together. Here's a long quote. Such strange synergies had boiled up over several fronts. At Thar's Bluff, the enemy's grotesque living artillery had been swarmed by Xenos slave creatures, erupting from tunnels as a line of Imperial armor had advanced as a distraction. Time and time again, human precision and Xenos ferocity were being boiled up into a brew stronger than it had any right to be. As the two forces had realized this, their long-term enmity had begun to express itself as brash competition. Where humans held trenches next to the Xenos, kill tallies were kept on tall wooden boards, while in Fergal's Wood, where the aliens' exotic artillery had been pooled with Imperial batteries, the bombardiers were engaged in constant one-upmanship over the reload speed and accuracy, and even the volume of their guns. As far as Nestor was concerned, this was to be encouraged, and it gave his troops something to do other than imagine death beneath a swarm of writhing nightmares.
Huh. That's kind of interesting.
I can totally see that. Like the Orks firing a bunch of guns and killing Tyranids, and then the humans doing the same, and then keeping kill tallies on a big board between, very nicely written out, the sergeant of, platoon 5th, and then the boys.
The boys, yeah, the one-upsmanship actually like makes sense as to why they would actually weirdly synergize and work well together and actually drive each other to like try harder. It it actually does kind of make sense, doesn't it?
It is. So
Yeah.
both sides found the battle quite amusing, and the orcs view the humans with a sense of kind of curiosity and confusion, especially when the guardsmen began to loosen up around the orcs a little bit. The humans, however, looked at the orcs with a dual sense of amusement and frustration. They viewed their battlefield whimsy as funny, but it felt like it was a bit of a mockery for what the Imperium was trying to do. I'm pretty sure these are the Blood Axes as well. And so, because their name is Colonel Tacticus, which is the most Blood Axe name on the planet, besides the General, which I
Forgot
still
about
love.
the general. Yeah.
The General. The orcs treated the battle with a sense of fun and sport, while the guardsmen were trained to treat war as life or death. So there was quite a lot to digest, but it was actually doing pretty good for the most part. The orcs rushed into a reactor, overloaded it, detonated everything within a 6-mile radius, led to the orcs and guardsmen cheering together. The Tyranids were defeated, and it was the perfect alliance until it wasn't.
Yeah, because once the Tyranids are gone, the orcs still want a good crumpin', mate.
So, due to the intensity of the battle, the general collapsed and fell off the side of his tank due to the sheer exhaustion. But when he woke up, he heard the sounds of Tyranid skulls being stabbed in the distance. When he realized that the battle was over, he also realized one more crucial thing. His hands were tied behind his back.
Oh.
Kneeling beside him was Tacticus, and he asked the general if he was going to ask what happened, and confirmed that the battle was over, and also confirmed that it was the Tyranids that knocked him off of the tank and not the orcs. He then asked what happened next, and the quote goes, "To his astonishment, Tacticus looked almost sheepish, like a vast child caught red-handed in an act of minor theft. Well, I betrayed you, of course. The charge with the tanks, it was, a trick. We held back, and we got you." There was an awkward silence, and the Xenos grumbled before continuing. "You didn't think? ? No, said Nestor, trying to hide the lie. I had planned the same. It was an excellent campaign still. It was an excellent campaign, yes, Tacticus. Tacticus then brought in Colonel Focus, who was also bound, and said he would be keeping Focus because he found him to be useful. He then said to Focus, "Please tell the general the big Imperial rule about negotiating with Xenos," to which Focus simply said, "Don't." Tacticus then handed Focus his saber and told Focus to teach the general his lesson.
Oh.
So
Oh, wow.
He basically was like, "All right, kill the general. Look what happens."
Yeah, damn. Shai said Colonel Tacticus was in Gaz's book by Nate Crowley. He replaced the genius General Stratagem after the latter's unfortunate death that he orchestrated. And when Gaz was uniting the clans, Tacticus was the one who just straight up surrendered without a fight.
Fantastic.
Absolutely cinema.
Absolutely cinema. But that's what I've got for general human alliances. Now, in fairness, there is plenty of other examples, and we would love to hear if there are any ones that the comment section would like to mention, because there are a ton of one-offs like this. A very important one that we did not talk about was Votann-related stuff, because there very much are Votann alliances with humans, but due to the new amount of the faction, there's not a lot to glean. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have to hold off on that one. Basically, if you read about it in the Codex of the Votann or the first book, that's all that there is, and that's all you need.
That felt like a good little, like, here's one with, like, every faction except, the Nids and Chaos, because... why?
I mean,
why would we?
I mean, even the chaos happened once, with the Dante one.
Oh yeah. With Dante getting the aid from, yep. We already talked about that. Yeah. So, I feel like that was a good little primer of a lot of the examples of it happening. So yeah, that was good.
Little primer, little easy one while I'm out here traveling.
Yeah, hell yeah,
and some good little bits there. So hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
But besides that, that's what we got. Where I'm gonna go create some of my own Imperium alliances out here in Detroit. So
You got plenty of Xenos to pick from.
pray for me. We got plenty of Xenos to pick from. Which one are we bringing
in Detroit?
Which one are we bringing in? Are we bringing in which faction would be best to siege Detroit?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why, but I feel like Necron. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so Warframe pilled. It's crazy. Man said Necros. Jeez.
Can you to end the episode? Can you give me a sentence about an orc having his first coney dog?
It's a lot of beans and cheese on that coney. I am gonna be sitting for days, and I'm gonna love it.
Fucking fantastic. See y'all next week, boys and girls.
Bye.